I always feel like the woman next door is watching me. Through the peephole, all I ever see is the hem of her dress as she closes the door. In the elevator, I shielded her from a drunk. Her perfume coiled around me, her fingers pausing on my wrist. Are you afraid of me? The day the pipe burst, she knocked on my door in a silk nightgown. A drop of water slid from her collarbone into the fabric, and I didn't dare look up. I've been renting this apartment for almost 6 months. The corner store downstairs is always out of the good hot dogs. The laundry machine in the basement sounds like a tractor. I have no idea who lives next door. A woman, I think. A few times, coming home late, I've smelled perfume in the hallway. It's faint, a little bitter. Nothing like the cloyingly sweet stuff my ex-girlfriend used to wear. Last Friday, I worked until 11. Just as the elevator doors were closing, someone called out, "Hold it, please." I hit the button. A woman walked in, her heels clicking on the floor. She stood next to me, but didn't press a floor. I realized she lived on the same one as me. The air filled with that same bitter, intriguing scent. The elevator jolted to a stop on the 4th floor. The lights flickered, then died. Only the emergency button cast a faint green glow. I heard her take a sharp, quiet breath. It's broken. I fumbled for my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam hit her face, and she squinted. There was a tiny mole at the corner of her eye. "I'll hit the alarm," I said, reaching for the panel. Suddenly, the elevator lurched into motion again, and the lights came back on. She leaned back, her arm brushing against mine. It was cool to the touch. The doors opened on our floor, and she walked out first. She glanced back at me. "Thanks for the light." Then she pulled out her keys and unlocked the door directly across from mine. I stood at my own door, digging for my keys, and heard the click of her lock. The light in my peephole went dark. The pipe burst on Saturday morning. I was sound asleep when a hissing sound from the kitchen woke me up. I ran in to see the flexible hose under the sink had split. Water was spraying everywhere. I scrambled to shut off the main valve under the sink. I twisted it as far as it would go, but the water kept gushing. It wouldn't stop. I looked for my landlord's number, but of course my phone was dead. Water was already creeping into the living room. I grabbed a jacket, planning to run down to find the building's super. But when I opened my door, she was standing right there. She was wearing a nightgown, deep green silk that clung to her body. "You have a leak," she said, pointing up at her ceiling. Water was dripping down from her light fixture. "A pipe burst?" I said, frantic. "I can't get the valve to shut off." "The main shutoff is in the utility closet in the hall, behind the meters." She turned and walked toward the stairwell. I followed her, watching as she stood on her toes to open the metal door. Inside was a maze of valves and switches. "Which one?" I asked. "The blue one. Turn it clockwise." I reached for it, but it was rusted and wouldn't budge. She leaned in closer, her fingers brushing the back of my hand. "You have to force it." Her perfume, mixed with the damp air, filled my head. The valve finally groaned and turned. When I got back to my apartment, the water had stopped. But the kitchen and living room were a disaster zone. She stood in the doorway, not stepping inside. "You need to call a plumber." "My phone's dead," I said, defeated. "Use mine." She pulled a phone from the pocket of her silk robe and handed it to me. The screen was still warm from her touch. I called my landlord and explained the situation. He said he couldn't get anyone out until the afternoon. I thanked her and tried to hand the phone back. She didn't take it, her eyes fixed on my soaked sneakers. "You should clean up," she said. "I made coffee. You can come over for a cup while you wait." Without waiting for an answer, she turned, opened her door, and left it ajar. I changed into dry clothes and hesitated in front of her open door. Through the crack, I could see a pair of elegant, high-heeled slippers in the entryway. "Come in," her voice drifted from inside. I pushed the door open and stepped in. The living room was huge, the same layout as mine, but almost empty. White walls, a gray sofa, a glass coffee table. No photos, no art. The balcony door was open, and a breeze rustled the sheer curtains. She came out of the kitchen holding 2 white porcelain mugs. "No sugar," she said, sliding one across the table to me. I perched on the edge of the sofa. The mug was hot. "I'm Clara Sterling," she said. It was an unusual, classic name. "Ethan Carter." She nodded, as if she already knew. We drank our coffee in silence. It was bitter, but had a rich, deep aroma. She crossed her legs, and her nightgown slid up to mid-thigh. Her ankles were slim, her skin so pale I could see the faint blue of her veins. "What do you do, Ethan?" she asked suddenly. "I'm an animation, a storyboard artist. Work a lot of late nights." "Pretty much." She set her mug down, the porcelain making a sharp clink against the glass table. "I used to pull all-nighters all the time. And now I have an Etsy shop. I sell candles." She pointed to a shelf in the corner, lined with glass jars filled with colored wax. "Scented candles? Yeah, for relaxation, helping you sleep." My phone rang. The plumber had arrived. I stood up to leave. She walked me to the door. "If you need anything, just knock." The door closed behind me. The scent of bitter perfume lingered in the air. The pipe repair cost $300. My landlord refused to cover it, claiming it was my fault. I didn't have the energy to argue. My weekend was shot. At our Monday morning meeting, my director added a new demand. The client wanted to insert a big fight sequence. No extra budget, and they cut the deadline in half. My coworker, Dave, kicked me under the table. "Guess it's another all-nighter for us." At lunch, picking at his takeout container, Dave cornered me. "Man, the bags under your eyes have their own zip code. Didn't sleep well this weekend. Girl trouble." Pipe burst. A neighbor helped me out. Dave's eyebrows shot up. "Neighbor, male or female?" "Female. Younger than you." Dave was in his early 40s, divorced for 3 years, and hypersensitive to the topic of women. "She hot?" I didn't really notice. "Yeah, right. Keep telling yourself that," he scoffed, shoveling in a mouthful of noodles. "Did she invite you in?" "We had a cup of coffee." Dave choked on his food, pounding his chest. It was raining when I left work. I didn't have an umbrella, so I stood under the awning, waiting for my Uber. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "It's Clara. I paid for half of the plumbing repair." Attached was a Venmo notification. She'd sent me $1.50. I stared at the screen. How did she get my number? My account name. My ride pulled up. I squeezed into the back seat, watching the wet city lights smear across the window. I texted back, "You don't have to do that, but thank you." She never replied. When I got home, the hallway was filled with that familiar, bitter fragrance. A cardboard box with a shipping label was sitting in front of her door. I unlocked my door, then glanced back. The box was stamped with the words, "Aromatherapy Wax." On Tuesday night, I heard noises from next door again. It sounded like furniture being dragged across the floor. There was also a man's muffled voice. I ignored it, put on my headphones, and got back to editing a sequence. Around 1 a.m., I was starving. I went to the kitchen to make some instant ramen and heard a knock at the door. It was soft, but persistent. I looked through the peephole. It was Clara, her hair a mess. I opened the door. She was wearing the same dress from earlier, but the shoulder was slightly torn. "Can I borrow your phone?" Her voice was flat. "Mine's broken." I handed it to her. Her fingers were trembling as she took it. She dialed a number and held it to her ear. "It's me. I need you to come over. Now." She hung up and gave the phone back. "Thanks." She turned to leave. "Are you okay?" I asked. She paused, but didn't turn around. "I'm fine." Her door clicked shut. The next morning, the elevator arrived. We walked to the building entrance together. "I have a new candle in my shop," she said out of the blue. "It's very good for helping you sleep. Want to try it?" I caught the faint scent on her clothes. "No, thanks. I sleep fine." "You were editing until 3 this morning," she said matter-of-factly. I froze. "How did you?" "Your window reflects off the wall of my apartment." She gestured toward our building. "So you can see me working late? I can see your monitor light." A small smile touched her lips before vanishing. "Just try it. Consider it a thank you." She pulled a small metal tin from her purse and handed it to me. "Light it for 10 minutes before bed. Don't put it near the curtains." With that, she walked off toward a different subway entrance. I held the tin. There was no label. I opened it. Inside was a block of milky white wax. It smelled of that familiar, bitter fragrance. I lit the candle. The scent was genuinely relaxing. But I had a strange dream. I dreamed she was in the elevator with me, and it was plummeting. She was gripping my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Ethan," she called out my name. I woke with a jolt. It was 4 a.m. On Saturday afternoon, I went to take out the trash and saw her door was open, propped open by stacks of cardboard boxes. She was struggling to lift one. "Need a hand?" I asked. She wiped her forehead. "New shipment. I have to get it to my storage unit." I helped her carry a dozen boxes. They were all raw materials for her candles. The storage unit was in the basement, damp and cold. When we were done, she handed me a bottle of water. Let me buy you dinner. You don't have to. I already bought groceries. It's too much for one person. Her kitchen was spotless, like it was never used. But she handled a chef's knife with practiced skill. I sat at the small kitchen island and watched her cook. She made a simple stir-fry and steamed fish. Do you cook often? I used to. Then I got lazy. She opened a bottle of red wine and poured 2 glasses. It's good, I said, tasting the fish. It was tender and perfectly cooked. Are you cold? What do you think? She asked, looking at me. Her eyes seemed lighter under the kitchen lights. I looked down and focused on my plate. After that, we started eating together sometimes. Occasionally at my place, sometimes at hers. I'd cook, she'd bring the wine. We didn't talk much, but the silence wasn't awkward. The project at work finally shipped. Dave dragged me out for a drink to celebrate. We went to a dive bar where the smoke from the grill made your eyes water. Something's up with you lately, Dave said, chewing on a chicken wing. What do you mean? You leave on time. You don't even complain about overtime anymore. The project's done. Bullshit. You complain even when a project is done. I took a long pull from my beer. Just tired, I guess. It's a woman, isn't it? Dave leaned in. That neighbor. I didn't deny it. You sleep with her yet? No, but you're close, he said with certainty. I thought about last night. She was on her balcony, watering her plants. She was wearing a tank top and shorts, her legs long and toned. When I handed her a small trowel, my fingers brushed hers. They were cool. She'd said thank you, her voice a little lower than usual. She's older than you, right? Dave asked. Maybe. Older is good. They know how to take care of a guy, he said wistfully. My ex-wife was 10 years younger than me. It was like raising a kid. I paid the bill and pulled him to his feet. Let's go. We both have work tomorrow. Dave mumbled something that was lost in the night wind. One day in mid-September, I came down with a fever. The office AC was blasting like a morgue. I called in sick and spent the day in bed. I heard a knock on the door through a feverish haze. I opened it. It was her. You didn't answer my texts, she said, holding up her phone. My head was spinning. I didn't understand. She reached out and pressed the back of her hand to my forehead. It felt wonderfully cool. You're burning up. She helped me back to bed, got me a glass of water, and found some ibuprofen. I heard her moving around in the kitchen. A little while later, she came back with a bowl of soup. Chicken noodle from a can. Classic sick food. I ate it and fell back asleep. When I woke up again, it was dark. She was sitting in the chair at my desk, using my laptop. Did I wake you? No. What time is it? 10. She closed the laptop. Feeling any better? Yeah. She walked over and felt my forehead again. It broke. Her face was very close to mine. I could feel her breath on my lips. Clara, I said. Why are you being so nice to me? She didn't answer right away. The headlights of a passing car swept across the room, illuminating half her face. What do you think? She asked back. Then she straightened up. Get some sleep. I'm leaving. After I recovered, I bought her a small thank you gift. A pair of simple glass tumblers that matched the style of her apartment. She accepted them. The next day, I found a small potted plant by my door. A pot hose with glossy, green leaves. For the 4th of July weekend, Dave invited me to go camping. I told him I couldn't make it. Got plans with a neighbor? He teased over the phone. No, I just want to rest. Right? I totally believe you. He hung up. I didn't end up resting anyway. The company took on a last-minute rush job. I spent the entire holiday weekend working. On the night of the 3rd, I went downstairs to buy cigarettes. On my way back up, I saw her sitting on the stairs. She was wearing a formal dress, her makeup heavy. What's wrong? I asked. She looked up, her eye makeup slightly smudged. Went to a wedding. Forgot my keys. You should call a locksmith. Phone's dead, too. She held up her dark phone. I helped her to her feet. You can wait at my place. She leaned on me, unsteady in her heels. She smelled of perfume and wine. I made her some tea with honey. She sipped it slowly. Whose wedding? My ex-husband's cousin. She gave a slight, humorless smile. He brought his new girlfriend. She's very young. The mug clicked as she set it on the table. Ethan. Yeah. Have you been in love? I have. Longest relationship. 3 years. Why'd you break up? She said I was poor. Clara let out a short laugh. Same old story. She leaned back into the sofa, the neckline of her dress dipping lower. When I was 20, I thought love was the most important thing in the world. And now, I think a good night's sleep is more important. She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowly became deep and even. I found a blanket and draped it over her. As I turned off the lights, I saw her eyelashes flutter. She must have been dreaming. I woke up just as the sky was turning gray. The sofa was empty. The blanket was folded neatly on the cushion. There were sounds coming from the kitchen. She was at the stove, frying an egg. She'd changed out of the dress and was wearing my t-shirt and a pair of my sweatpants, the legs rolled up several times. "Morning," she said without turning around. "All you had were eggs and bread. That's perfect." We sat at my small dining table and ate breakfast. The morning sun slanted in, turning her hair a pale gold. "Thanks for last night," she said. "Don't mention it. I talk too much when I drink." "You didn't say much." I focused on my milk. She finished eating and took her plate to the sink. "I washed my dress. It's hanging on your balcony." "Okay." She walked to the door, then paused. "Do you have plans today?" "Overtime. Tonight. Probably more overtime." She nodded and left. The apartment smelled of fried eggs, and faintly of her. That afternoon, I was back at the office. Dave sidled up to my desk. Well, he said, pointing at my neck. "What? That a mosquito bite?" I touched a small red mark near my collarbone. "It wasn't a mosquito bite." "What happened last night?" Dave waggled his eyebrows. "My neighbor got drunk, fell asleep on my couch. And that's it. He walked away, looking disappointed. I stared at my monitor, my mind blank. I remembered last night, after she'd fallen asleep. I had bent down, thinking I should carry her to my bed. She had suddenly opened her eyes. "Ethan," she whispered my name. Then she reached out and touched my neck. Her fingertips were feather-light. It felt like a brand. The day the project ended, the team went out for drinks. I had a little too much. I took a lift back to my building around 1 a.m. When the elevator doors opened, she was standing inside, holding a small suitcase. "Business trip?" I asked. "Yeah, early flight." She glanced at me. "You've been drinking." "A little." The elevator reached our floor. I followed her out. "Where are you headed?" "Atlanta. For 3 days." She unlocked her door. "Do you want me to water your plants?" I asked. She turned around. "You remember? The jasmine on your balcony," I said. She stared at me for a few seconds. "Okay." She handed me a spare key. "Just don't go in the bedroom." The door closed. I stood in the hallway, holding the key. The metal was still warm from her hand. She came back 3 days later and brought me a box of pralines. "Local specialty," she said. "Very sweet." I gave her back the key. "Your plant is still alive." "Thanks." As she was closing her door, she said suddenly, "I have a dead body in my bedroom." I froze. She laughed. "Just kidding." The door shut, leaving me with a box of candy. That weekend, she knocked on my door. "My light bulb burned out. Can you help me change it?" I went over with a new bulb. Her bathroom was immaculate, the counter lined with jars and bottles. They all smelled of that bitter fragrance. I stood on a small step stool to change the bulb. She held it steady for me. "A little to the left," she said. My hand paused. "Are you left-handed?" "How'd you know?" "I saw you use scissors with your left hand once," she said. The bulb was in. As I stepped down, I lost my footing. She grabbed my waist to steady me. Her hands were firm. "Careful," she said, letting go quickly. That evening, she brought over a plate of homemade cookies. "Thank you. You don't have to be so formal." "It's proper," she said, leaning against my door frame. "Doesn't your girlfriend get jealous?" "Don't have one." "What about the ex?" "We haven't spoken since we broke up." She nodded. "My ex-husband is getting married." "Oh." "The girl is 23. She smiled a little. "Same age I was." The company landed a huge new contract. The crazy overtime started all over again. For a week straight, I got home after midnight. One night, I found a thermos outside my door. Inside was hot soup. I asked her about it the next day. "Was that you?" "Yeah, I made extra." "Thank you. Don't mention it." After that, it became a near-daily occurrence. Sometimes it was soup, sometimes a different kind of broth. There was always a sticky note under the thermos. "Eat it while it's hot." The handwriting was thin and slanted. On Friday, I got off work early. I went to the market and bought a fresh fish. I knocked on her door. She opened it, wearing an apron. "Let me cook," I said, holding up the fish. She stepped aside. There was a pot simmering on her stove. "You feed me every day. It's my turn to pay you back," I said. She didn't say anything, just handed me an apron. I cooked while she watched from the side. My knife skills were better than she expected. You do this often? When you live alone, you can't order takeout every single day. The fish hit the hot pan with a sizzle. At dinner, she opened a bottle of nice red wine. To celebrate your project almost being over. How do you know? The bags under your eyes are getting smaller. She raised her glass. Congratulations. We were both a little tipsy by the end of the meal. She told me she used to study design. Then she got married and became a housewife. After the divorce, she started her own business. How did you get into candles? I asked. I was having trouble sleeping for a while. Making candles helped calm my mind. Did it work? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. She swirled the wine in her glass. Like right now, for instance. It's not working. On the last weekend of October, it rained. She called me. My storage warehouse is leaking. Can you come help? I took an Uber out there. It was in an old industrial park in the suburbs. The unit was filled with boxes and raw materials. Water was dripping steadily from a spot in the ceiling, soaking a few boxes below. We rushed to move everything. By the time we were done, we were both soaked. Her hair was plastered to her face. I'll buy you dinner, she said. The only place nearby was a small noodle shop. The hot soup brought us back to life. She picked at her noodles absently. On the way back, the taxi driver had a classic rock station on. She leaned against the window and fell asleep, her head gently bumping against the glass with the motion of the car. I put my hand against the window, cushioning her head. She leaned into it. It was a light pressure. She woke up as we pulled into our complex and realized her head was resting on my hand. Is it numb? She asked. A little. She rubbed my wrist. Her fingers were soft. The elevator was empty except for us. Our reflections stared back from the mirrored walls. No one got me a gift for my birthday this year, she said suddenly. When was it? Yesterday. I was stunned. You didn't say anything. I'm saying it now. The elevator doors opened. She walked out. Happy birthday, I said. She turned and smiled. It's expired. In early November, the temperature dropped. I caught a cold. No fever this time, but a hacking cough. I woke up coughing in the middle of the night and went to buy medicine. The lights of the 24-hour pharmacy were blinding. I paid for the cough syrup and a bottle of water. As I turned, I saw her by one of the aisles, holding a can of soup. You're awake too? She asked. Coughing, I said, holding up the box of medicine. I'm hungry. She shook the can. Minestrone. We walked back together through the empty streets. She opened the can of soup and handed it to me. Warm things are good for a sore throat. I took it. It was warm. In the hallway, she didn't go straight to her door. I have some throat coat tea. It's good for coughs. She unlocked her door and came back with a small box of tea bags. Thanks. I took it. Ethan, she said, stopping me. Yeah. It sucks being sick when you're alone, doesn't it? I nodded. You too. I'm used to it. She closed her door. I stood in the darkness, the lingering warmth of the soup can in my hand. Dave got married. He invited me to the wedding. The bride was someone he'd met through a dating app 3 months ago. The reception was loud and cheerful. I sat at a table in the corner. When Dave came around to toast our table, he slapped me on the shoulder. You're next, buddy. He was drunk, his face beet red. I just smiled and didn't say anything. On the subway home, I got a text from Clara. The light in the hallway is out. The super won't be here to fix it until tomorrow. It was already dark when I got off the train. I stumbled up the stairs in the pitch black. When I got to her door, it suddenly opened. A sliver of light spilled out. She was standing in it. I heard footsteps. Figured it was you, she said. She was holding her phone with the flashlight on. I'll light the way. She held the light steady. I fumbled with my keys, unable to find the keyhole. Her hand moved, steadying the beam right on the lock. Got it, I said, pushing the door open. Thanks. No problem. I went inside, and she closed her door. The hallway was plunged back into darkness. But the image of her, standing in the light, was burned onto my retinas. Her shop was having an anniversary sale, and she worked late. When I got home from my own late night, I saw her sitting on a bench downstairs, rubbing her ankle. Her heels were on the ground beside her. Sprained it? I asked. Just not used to these shoes, she said, looking up. Her makeup was heavier than usual. Was the sale a success? It was fine. I crouched down to look at her ankle. It was slightly swollen. Can you walk? I will in a minute. I sat down next to her. The late autumn wind was cold, and she was only wearing a thin blazer. "Are you cold?" I asked. "A little." I took off my jacket and gave it to her. She draped it over her shoulders, pausing for a moment as if she recognized my scent. "Why did your ex-girlfriend say you were poor?" she asked out of nowhere. "We had just graduated. We were poor. And now, a little better, but still poor." She smiled. "I've been poor, too. There was a time I ate nothing but ramen for a week." "How did you get through it?" "One day at a time." She looked at a distant streetlight. "Eventually, I realized that hard times are like a burned-out light bulb. You just have to replace it." I finished. She turned to look at me. "You learn fast." It was my birthday at the end of November. I'd completely forgotten. A happy birthday text from my bank was the only reason I remembered. I hadn't told anyone. As I was leaving work, Dave grabbed me. "It's your birthday. We have to celebrate." "How did you know?" "It was on your HR forms." He dragged me to our usual dive bar. Halfway through her second beer, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Clara. "Are you home?" "Out with a friend." "What time will you be back?" "Not for a while." An hour later, another text. "Back yet?" "Almost. I'll wait for you by your door." I paid the bill and hurried home. She was really there, standing in the hallway, holding a small box. "Happy birthday," she said, handing it to me. "How did you know?" "I saw it on the tenant registry in the lobby." Inside the box was a cake. It was small, and the frosting was a little melted. "I baked it myself." "It's probably not very pretty," she said. I unlocked my door. "Want to come in and have some?" She shook her head. "It's late. You've had a long day." She pressed the cake into my hands. "Eat it while it's fresh." She turned and went into her apartment. I sat at my table and ate the cake. It wasn't too sweet and had a hint of lemon. My phone lit up with a new text from her. "The candles are at the bottom of the box." I forgot to put them on. 20. December brought the first snow. It was light, melting as soon as it hit the ground. My cold came back with a vengeance. I called in sick again. She brought me dinner once. "I don't want to get you sick," I said. "I have a strong immune system." She set down a container of soup. That night, I couldn't sleep for coughing. I heard a knock. She was standing outside with a mug of hot honey lemon water. "I heard you coughing," she said. I let her in. She felt my forehead. No fever, just the cough. I drank the water. She sat on the edge of my bed. When I was little and I had a cough, my grandma would boil radishes with honey. "Did it work?" "Yeah, but it tasted awful." She smiled. Moonlight filtered through a gap in the curtains, tracing the line of her jaw. "Clara," I said. Why are you alone?" She was quiet for a moment. "Why are you?" "Haven't met the right person," I said. "Me neither." She stood up. "Get some sleep. If you're still coughing like this tomorrow, go to a doctor." She walked to the door. "Ethan." "Yeah. It's easy to get sick in the winter." "I know." The door closed softly. 21. The snow got heavier. A layer of fog coated the windows. My chest ached from coughing, so I finally went to the hospital. The air inside smelled sharply of antiseptic. The doctor said it was bronchitis. He prescribed some medicine and an 4-drip. I sat in the infusion room, watching the clear liquid drip, drip, drip. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara. "Feeling any better?" "At the hospital." "Which one?" I sent her my location. Half an hour later, she showed up carrying a thermos. She had snowflakes in her hair. "Radish water," she said, opening the thermos. "You actually made it? Just try it." I took a sip. It really did taste awful, but it warmed me up. She sat down and looked at the tape on the back of my hand. "How long is the drip?" "2 bags. Another hour or so. I'll wait with you." She took out her laptop and started processing orders for her shop. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The infusion room was noisy. Kids crying, people talking, but the sound of her typing was clear and steady. It was dark by the time I was done. A thin layer of snow covered the ground. She helped me out of the hospital and into a cab. In the glare of the headlights, the snowflakes danced wildly. "Are you cold?" "I'm okay." She reached over and pulled up the collar of my jacket. Her fingers brushed against my neck. "Still cool." 22. After I got better, something between us was different. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was like there was a thin sheet of paper between us, and neither of us wanted to be the one to break through it. At the company holiday party, I won a humidifier in the raffle. It was still in the box. I left it by my front door. The next day, I saw a large package outside her apartment. She was struggling to move it. Need help? Thanks. It was another shipment of candle supplies. It was incredibly heavy. I helped her carry it into her living room. As I turned to leave, I nearly tripped over a rug. She caught me, her hand lingering on my arm for a few seconds. I'm making stew tonight, she said. Another thank you? It's cold out. I wanted soup. She looked at the box. And I made too much for one person. The stew was beef and barley. She'd added a lot of pepper. It made my whole body feel warm. Does your ex-husband ever contact you? No. She blew on a spoonful of soup. He's married. They went on their honeymoon. That's good, I said. What about you? She looked up. What about me? Ever think about finding someone else? I'm busy, I said, finishing my soup. You? Me too. 23. Christmas Eve was bustling downtown. I was at the office, making last-minute changes to a presentation. It was 11 by the time I finished. The traffic was terrible. The driver had the radio on, playing one cheesy love song after another. I stared out the window at couples holding hands. I tried to remember what I was doing this time last year. Probably working overtime. When I got to my building, she was standing outside. She was wearing a red scarf and carrying a paper bag. I was starting to think you had a date, she said. Just work? I stomped the snow off my feet. What about you? Sold off the last of my holiday candles to a friend. We went upstairs together. The elevator was decorated with a cheap, plastic mistletoe. It looked fake. She looked up at the green plastic ring. Guess it's better than nothing, she murmured. She had a small Christmas tree in her living room. It was barely taller than her, but it was covered in ornaments. A client sent it to me, she explained. It's nice, I said. She pulled a box from the paper bag. Christmas present. I opened it. It was a dark gray scarf. I knitted it myself. It came out a little wide, she said, her tone casual. Thank you. I put it on immediately. It's warm. I pulled a box out of my own backpack. I was going to give this to you tomorrow. It was a new phone. You were always saying yours was broken, right? Her old phone was cracked on every corner. She didn't say anything, just opened the box. This is expensive. I won it in the company raffle. Didn't cost me a thing, I lied. She looked up at me. Thank you. Her voice was a little husky. 24. I didn't go anywhere for the 3-day New Year's weekend. On the second night, I heard a knock. Want to watch an old movie? She was holding her laptop. We sat on my couch and watched it. It was a black and white film about a man and a woman who meet on a train. The dialogue was slow. Halfway through, she fell asleep, her head coming to rest on my shoulder. Her breathing was soft and even. The light from the movie flickered across her face. I didn't move, not until the credits rolled. She woke up, realized where she was, and sat up straight. How long was I out? You missed the whole second half. Sorry, she rubbed her eyes. Why'd you pick this one? I heard it had a good ending. Did they end up together? No, they went their separate ways, back to their own lives. She closed the laptop, but the few days they had together were good. She got up to leave, pausing at the door. Ethan, Happy New Year. You too. The door closed. A line from the movie echoed in my head. We had the same dream. 25. Mid-January was the coldest part of the year. She had to go to a trade show in Austin for 3 days. The day before she left, she gave me her spare key. To water the jasmine, she said. Okay. 26. I happened to be downstairs when she got back. She was pulling her suitcase, looking exhausted. How was the show? It was fine. She looked at my forehead. What happened there? There was a small bruise from that night. Bumped it. She didn't press. That night, she came over to get her watering can. She stopped, her eyes fixed on it. Ethan. Yeah. Am I impossible to warm up to? She asked suddenly. I had never thought about it like that. I don't know, I said, but I don't mind the cold. The watering can landed on the table with a thud. 27. Before the Lunar New Year, half the city cleared out. My parents called and asked if I was coming home. I told them I couldn't get a ticket. The truth was my project wasn't finished. On New Year's Eve, it was drizzling. I was at the grocery store buying frozen dumplings when I ran into her in the same aisle, holding the same brand. You eat these too? They're easy. Her basket also contained a bottle of wine. We ended up celebrating together. At my place, we ate my dumplings and drank her wine. The New Year's Eve show played on TV in the background. She drank a little too much. My parents emigrated last year, she said. Why? My brother had a kid. They went to help raise their grandson. She swirled her glass. They used to say my divorce brought shame on the family. Now they don't bother. My parents are always nagging me too, I said. About what? Getting married, having kids. I ate a dumpling. It was too salty. Do you want to? She asked, staring at the TV. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I have, she said, staring at the TV. But then I think about having to get used to a whole new person, and I just give up. At midnight, fireworks started going off outside. We stood on the balcony and watched. The rain had stopped, and the fireworks exploded in the damp air. Happy New Year, she said. Happy New Year, I replied. 28. In early March, the project was finally finished. I got a promotion and a raise. I took Dave out to dinner to celebrate. His wife was pregnant, and he was beaming. So what about you? What about me? The older sister next door. It is what it is. And what is that? He leaned in. Slept together yet? No. Held hands? No. You haven't even kissed? No. Dave stared at me, wide-eyed. What is this, a platonic thing? No. I didn't know how to describe it. On my way home, I got a text from her. The rent on my shop is going up. I might have to close. I called her. Her voice sounded tired. How much is it going up? Double. I can't afford it. What will you do? Take a break for a while, I guess. She paused. Maybe move to a different city. I didn't say anything. Only the sound of our breathing filled the silence. Ethan. Yeah. If I were gone, would you miss me? Yes, I said. In April, she closed her shop. I went to help her clear out the warehouse. There wasn't much, just enough to fill a small truck. She stood in the empty space. This is all I started with, she said. And this is all I have now. She kicked at an empty box in the corner. We went out for a final meal. The same little noodle shop. Where will you go? I asked. Not sure yet. Maybe somewhere in the south. She stirred her noodles. It's humid, but it's good for your skin. A fried egg appeared in my bowl. She had put it there. You've lost weight, she said. Over time. I ate the egg. I walked her home, and we ran into her ex-husband downstairs. He looked a lot better. He was with a young woman who was visibly pregnant. He saw us and froze for a second, then gave a slight nod and walked on. Clara didn't seem to react. Looks like he's doing well, she said. And you? I asked. I'm doing fine, too. In May, she told me she was leaving. Her flight was for the following Monday. I spent the weekend helping her pack. There weren't many books or clothes, mostly just her candle-making tools. Do you still want these? I asked, pointing to a box of molds. No, she said. When we were done packing, we sat on the floor and drank beer. The setting sun filled the room with boxes and long shadows. Feels like getting divorced again, she joked. This time you're divorcing the apartment, I said. She looked at me. Ethan, you're a good man. Don't put me in the friend zone. I laughed. I'm serious. She gripped her beer can. If I were 5 years younger. You'd still be fine now, I said. She shook her head. I'm tired. Do you understand? I understand, I said. But I didn't finish my thought. You can rest when you're tired. You don't have to run so far away. On Monday, I took the day off to see her off at the airport. The line for check-in was long. We stood at the back. Text me when you land, I said. Okay. Let me know when you find a place. Okay. Don't change your number. Okay. She went through security and waved. I stood there until I couldn't see her anymore. The first week after she left, everything was the same. Work, eat, sleep. The second week, I noticed the pothose plant had died. I forgot to water it. Dave asked me what was wrong. I told him nothing. He didn't believe me. She texted to say she'd arrived. The south was as humid as she'd expected. The walls were damp. She attached a photo from her window. Lots of green trees under a gray sky. I replied, get a dehumidifier. She replied, okay. In June, the rainy season started. I got a cold. There was no soup at my door. When I coughed, I thought about the taste of that radish water. One night, I walked past her old warehouse. It had been turned into a boba tea shop. It was loud and full of teenagers. I bought a lemonade. It was so sour it made my face pucker. The cashier told me I could have my own sugar. I didn't. In mid-July, I had a business trip to Atlanta. After I finished my work, I took an extra day off. I looked up the train tickets to her city. It was a 2-hour ride. I didn't tell her I was coming. I texted her when I got to the station. I'm at the train station. She replied half an hour later. Send me your location. She showed up wearing flip-flops, a little tanner than before. What are you doing here? I was in the area for work, I lied. She lived on the first floor of an old apartment building. It was damp, but it had a small yard, which was filled with jasmine plants. Smells good, right? She said a little proudly. Smells like your candles, I said. She cooked dinner. The kitchen filled with the smell of chili peppers. The food here is spicy, she explained. You didn't used to eat spicy food. People change. I stayed at a hotel nearby that night. She walked me to the door. You're leaving tomorrow? Afternoon train. I'll see you off. You don't have to. You're busy. She came to the station the next day anyway, carrying 2 boxes of pastries. Local specialty. For your coworkers, she said. Thanks. The waiting room was crowded. We sat on the hard plastic chairs. How are things here? I asked. Besides the humidity, it's fine. In work, found a job at a design firm. It's pretty chill. The announcer called my train for boarding. I stood up. Ethan, she said. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Of course. I went through the gate and looked back. She was still standing there. She waved. We kept in touch sporadically after that. She posted photos of her jasmine flowers on Instagram. I liked them. In August, I was assigned to a new project. I had to be on site in Silicon Valley for 3 months. Before I left, I mailed her a package. A box of the candies she used to like, the ones that came in a moisture-proof tin. She texted me after she got it. The candy is very sweet. It's humid there. Make sure you eat it, I replied. One day in September, I worked until dawn. I got back to my hotel, and my phone was dead. I plugged it in and turned it on. A string of missed calls from her. I called back. She picked up immediately. Are you okay? My phone died. I just got back to the hotel. I thought something happened to you. Her voice sounded strange. What's wrong? I had a dream you were in a car accident. She paused. It scared me. I walked to the window. The city lights of San Jose burned brightly. I'm fine, I said. Good. She didn't hang up. Clara. Next spring, I'm coming to see the jasmine, I said. The line was quiet for a moment. Okay, she said. The project wrapped up early. I was back home by New Year's. At the company party, I won a small prize, a microwave. I took the cash equivalent instead. On New Year's Eve, I made dumplings. I couldn't eat them all, so I froze half. Halfway through the TV special, my phone rang. It was a video call from her. When I answered, I saw she was eating dumplings too. Did you make those yourself? I asked. Store-bought. Frozen. She turned the camera to her window. They don't allow fireworks here. It doesn't feel like the new year. Same here, I said. We watched our respective TV shows in silence for a while. Ethan, she said my name again. Yeah. When is spring? She asked. Soon, I said. How soon is soon? Next month. Or the month after, I said. She smiled. I'll be waiting then. She hung up. The dumplings were cold, but I felt a little warm inside. On February 14th, I received a package. It was a tin of jasmine tea. The card read, for the humidity, but you can drink this one. There was no signature. I made a cup. It was fragrant. Dave came into my office and smelled it. Ooh, who's that from? A friend. The neighbor? Yeah. He leaned in closer. Is this happening? I don't know, I said. But the tea was warm. In early March, the company sent me to her city for a week of training. I told her. Should I pick you up from the airport? She asked. No, I'll take a cab. The training center was near the ocean. During our free time in the evening, I went for a walk on the beach. The wind was strong, and the sand stung my face. My phone rang. A text from her. Where are you? The beach. Send me your location. She showed up half an hour later, wearing a heavy coat, her hair whipped by the wind. How did you find me? There's only one beach near here. She handed me a hot chocolate. It's not great, but it's hot. We walked along the shoreline. The tide was out, leaving behind a trail of seashells. Are you still growing jasmine? I asked. Yeah, it's blooming really well. She stopped walking. Do you want to come see it? On the last day of my training, I went to her place. The jasmine really was beautiful. The whole yard was fragrant. She cooked dinner. It was spicier than last time, but my tolerance had improved. You're getting better, she said. I've had practice. As I was washing the dishes, she leaned against the kitchen doorway. Ethan. Yeah. What if I said I could move back? Her voice was calm. What? I asked. It's drier there. Better for my skin, she said. I turned off the water and turned to face her. Have you made up your mind? No, she said honestly, but I could. My training ended. and it was time to go back. She saw me off at the station. This time, before I went through the gate, I hugged her. It was quick and light. She froze. "Travel safe," she said. "Yeah." I walked through the gate and didn't look back. As the train started moving, my phone buzzed. A text from her. 3 words. I made up my mind. 39 inches April. She really came back. She didn't tell me. I got home from work and saw her apartment door open. She was inside cleaning. "Need a hand?" I asked. She turned around, her hair covered in dust. "Yes." We cleaned until midnight. We sat on the floor, drinking beer. Just like the day she left last year. "Why did you come back?" I finally asked. "You said it was drier here. Better for my skin." She smiled. "The real reason," I said. She put down her beer can. "Ethan, I'm 40. So, I'm too old for games." "Like what?" "Like a long-distance relationship." I looked at her. She looked back at me. "Are you asking me out?" I asked. "Yes," she said. 40, we were together. It wasn't a big deal. We just ate dinner together, watched movies, slept in the same bed. She still had trouble sleeping sometimes and would light one of her candles. When I worked late, she didn't leave soup at my door anymore. She brought it straight to my office. Dave met her and insisted I buy him dinner. "I can't believe you actually waited for her," he said, drunk. "I didn't wait," I said. "She came back. That summer, we got a cat, a stray that followed us home. She named him Olive because she insisted his gray fur had a greenish tint." "He's clearly gray," I said. "It's the lighting," she insisted. In the fall, my parents came to visit. They met her. They didn't say much, but my mom texted me after they left. "She seems nice, but she's older than you." I texted back. "I know." Winter came, and it snowed again. We stayed in and ate hot pot. The cat jumped on the table to steal a piece of meat and got shooed away. "It's my birthday tomorrow," she said. "I know." I pulled out her gift. It was a scarf, the same color and pattern as the one she had given me. "I knitted it," I said. "It's ugly," she judged, but she put it on immediately. Before bed, she lit a new candle. "For relaxation," she said. The scent was still bitter, but I was used to it now. I watched her back to me as she lit the wick. I thought about the day we first met in the elevator. Her face in the green emergency light. "Clara," I said. Am I warm enough for you now?" I asked. She blew out the match. In the curling smoke, she turned around. "What do you think?" Then she smiled.